You've got that fire, right? That passion to make a real difference, an idea that you just know could change things. But how do you take that spark and turn it into something that actually works, something that lasts? Well, today, we're moving past just good intentions. We're actually going to build the blueprint for making an impact. And that really is the big question, isn't it? I mean, you see so much incredible drive out there, the best intentions you can imagine. But here's the thing, passion is just the fuel. To actually get where you're going, you need an engine, and you definitely need a map. And that's exactly what we're focusing on today. We're going to talk about how to move from that raw passion to a practical, step-by-step blueprint. The goal here is to build a solid structure that can take all your energy and channel it into real, measurable progress. Now, this blueprint we're building, it's based on solid ground. We're pulling all our insights from the Impact Connect newsletter by Santosh Kumar. It digs deep into the real-world stories of purpose-driven organizations in India. So this isn't just some abstract theory. It's the truth from the ground, from people who are actually doing the work. Let's start with the biggest challenge of all. This is the heart of the matter. Passion gives you the why, for sure, but without a clear plan, a solid structure, and the right toolkit, even the most amazing mission can just fizzle out before it even gets started. So where do we even begin to build? You start with a foundation, of course, and in our case, that's a clear, powerful strategy. This is absolutely the most critical first step in our blueprint.
And to get this foundation right, Impact Connect points us to a guide on strategic planning. Now, this isn't your typical corporate jargon. It's a really practical framework designed just for organizations that are focused on making a difference.
So the blueprint for your strategy really boils down to 4 steps that all connect. First, you define your mission. That's your why. From that mission, you identify your specific goals. That's your what. Only then can you actually build out the how, your detailed strategy. But it doesn't just stop there. The last step is maybe the most important. You have to measure your progress. That creates this amazing feedback loop that helps you refine your mission and goals as you go.
Okay, a brilliant strategy is great, but it's pretty useless if you don't have the right tools to actually execute it. So the next level of our blueprint is all about getting your organization equipped for success. Impact Connect shines a light on 2 essential types of tools. You've got the practical, day-to-day tech, things like specific WordPress plugins made for nonprofits, but just as important are the conceptual tools. These are the frameworks that help you think about and measure what really matters. And that leads us to a concept that's a total game changer. It's called SROI, which stands for Social Return on Investment. This is such a powerful idea. It forces you to look way beyond just the financial bottom line and actually measure the social and environmental value you're creating. It asks this really profound question. For every dollar, for every hour we invest, what's the actual return in human well-being or the health of our planet?
And you can really see that shift in thinking right here. Traditional businesses, they're all about that financial return on investment. But for a purpose-driven organization, the metric that truly matters is SROI. It's the huge difference between asking how much money did we make and asking the far more important question, how much good did we do?
Okay, you've got a strategy, you've got the right tools, but every single mission out there needs fuel to keep the engine running. And that fuel comes from 2 absolutely critical sources, funding and community.
The big takeaway here is that you can't just rely on one single source of funding. True sustainability comes from building a diverse ecosystem of support. That means learning how to craft compelling CSR proposals for corporations, tapping into public generosity through events like the Daan Utsav Festival of Giving, and creating real value by partnering with colleges and universities.
And as this chart shows, relying on just one of these is pretty risky. The organizations that are the most resilient, the ones that last, they build multiple streams of support. When you have corporate support, public giving, and community partnerships all working together, you create a foundation that can pretty much weather any storm.
So we've got our internal blueprint all mapped out, strategy, tools, and funding. But to make a truly lasting impact, you've got to connect your work to the bigger picture. You have to find your North Star.
This is where global frameworks become so incredibly important. Impact Connect highlights the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, as a kind of universal guide. It doesn't matter if your focus is super specific, like women's empowerment, or something broader. When you align your work with these goals, you're plugging into a global movement.
You should never, ever forget that what you do matters on a massive scale. Seriously,
Whether you're working in a single neighborhood or across an entire country, your mission is a crucial piece of a giant global puzzle. You're contributing to a shared effort all around the world to build a better future for everyone.
All right, so we've laid out the entire blueprint. We've walked through how to go from that first spark of an idea to a fully formed plan that's connected to global goals. Now it's about turning that blueprint into a reality.
So let's just quickly recap what we've built. These are the 4 pillars of lasting impact. You need a clear strategy to be your guide. You need the right tools to be effective. You need diverse funding to be sustainable. And you need a global vision to connect your work to something much bigger than yourself.
And so, the question really comes back to you. The path from that initial passion to real, tangible progress, it's a lot clearer now. You have the blueprint in your hands. The only question left is, what are you going to build?